Good evening. I am back, and I pray that you're being blessed as I am. I want to jump right in here and say, Father, just help us. Help us, God, to realize that we've got to have self-control. I want to read First Peter 4:7 that says, "The end of all things is near. Therefore, be clear-minded and self-controlled, so that you can pray." Using that to you in NIV, we got to really realize that God is watching. He sees everything, even the condition of our hearts. Selah. Okay, listen, we're going to jump in. I just love what Proverbs 11 is talking to us about practical living, as all of these are, trying to give us wisdom. I just want to, as I said before, I'm just giving you all some overview of what I got out of it, and for you to go back and read for yourself so you can get your own revelation and that God can give you the wisdom that you need for issues. Many of you may be in a situation that been maybe habitual for you, that's caused us to be in these places sometime, duplicity, because it's going to guide you to self-destruction. And this is why I'm doing this for us to think again. Amen. And so let's jump right into this first part. Let me just define first what is duplicity. Okay, duplicity means that, of course, it's two-faced. It acts, it's deceitfulness, it's devious. We just know that person is a hater and a faker. They're doing witchery. They undermined, they double-minded, and the whole nine. They're very dishonest. They just fake and fraud. Let's just leave it like that. Okay, but we know a whole bunch of people that are up close and personal. I know I do. I look at them all the time, and they think they smooth and sharp and all that, and that I'm thinking that I can't. They thinking that I can't see them, but I thank God for wisdom and the eye of the seer. But in this message, I want to just give you all some of these areas that we need to look at. When something is guiding you, that means now it's working on you. It's working on your thoughts. It's working on the issues that maybe the devil has put you in a position that you don't think anymore. All you know is you want to react about something. But I want you to think about how this thing of duplicity, these areas that you've been dishonest, these areas that maybe we find ourselves allowing others to put us in these uncomfortable places that we now have to say something that's not true or do something back to them because of what they did to us. But what this really leads to is self destruction. Duplicity guides you, and anything that's going to guide you, that means it's going to lead you astray or lead you into something. It's definitely influencing you off course, taking you somewhere else, guiding you into a place that you feel that's going to be best for you when actually it is deception. Now, let me jump into these particular scriptures that I want you to go back and look at that I thought was very powerful, coming from verse 1. I think it's important for you to look at honesty and integrity. That's verse number one. It's highlighting in verse 1 about a false balance, being an abomination to the Lord. But a just weight is his delight. So it's showing you the importance of being fair and right and truthful for everyday life, not just to make yourself comfortable. This particular chapter is overarching the theme message of righteousness and wickedness. Okay, we know throughout the Proverbs it's trying to give us the wisdom to look at different things so we can look at the outcomes, so you can get some wisdom. So these things that so easily beset us won't cause duplicity and self destruction, right? So, but this is one I think is very important. So we can look at truthfulness. The other one was looking at verses 7 through 10 and 3 through 6 as well, talking about righteousness versus wickedness. And so, of course, we're looking at God's principles about leading and parenting and being a leader or running a ministry or a business. Talking about the principles of being honest, being a blessing, being safe, giving honor where honor is due. But in this contrast here, we look at the wicked face of destruction, how it sends people to ruin and shame because they act unjustly, they act selfish, they act greedy. And that's the other part that this particular chapter talked about, generosity versus greed. In these verses 24 through 26, it's underscoring the value of generosity and saying that those who give freely will be enriched, while those who withhold more than necessary lead them to poverty. So it promotes a generous spirit, is what it's trying to get you to see, and not just a material possession type of character, but for you to want to give, so you reap what you sow. And then, of course, throughout all of these, it's talking to you in verse 2, humility and pride. Humility versus pride is warning you that when pride comes, guess what? You can look to fall, because you're not going to be able to continue to do it the way you want to do it, and you will fall. It's just a matter of time. God is watching over that. So you don't want to be disgraced. You want to make sure that you have a humbleness to your spirit so you can gain wisdom, so your paths would be straight, and so that you won't have pride to give you the downfall or suddenly downfall that we're seeing right now. Like I always say, you got to take care of it in private before you will wind up getting exposed publicly. And then, of course, wise speech and influence is talking in verse 9, highlighting the power of speech, teaching and making sure your words are fruitful, and making sure that you uplift and pull people out of the fire with your words, and not give wicked words and saying things about people and backbiting people. You got to be very, very careful about that as well. And think about what it's trying to show us, how it would eat. I say eventually you will eat the fruit of your own lips. And of course, the consequences of our actions, what's going to happen when that happens. This area here is trying to show us in verses 18 and 19 and 21 that the righteous will be rewarded according to their deeds, and the wicked will suffer for theirs. Now, I'm reading out of the NIV what I'm sharing with you these particular messages, but I want you to know that God is speaking to us in this hour. He's trying to give you the practical way to look at wisdom, and to look at how many people are such a fake today and wind up eating the very thing that they think that they're really deceiving somebody else with. That duplicity really leads to self-destruction. Honesty and generosity and humility and wisdom, these are some warnings of these dangers that will give self-destruction. And we know when you have pride, it ain't but about, how they say, a deep breath in a minute before you fall. Selah. Think about duplicity. Think about what's guiding you in these areas to self-destruct. And I pray that even now, that when you're dealing with something that you know that's making you feel, uncomfortable, or making you feel that somebody's pushing you into something that you got to try to say something to make you cover up something or whatever. Listen, this is the time you want to think about, you may be doubting God, that you may feel that you got to handle it on your own from these habits or these things that seem too hard for you. But when you're struggling in that area, I want you to remember 13, I'm sorry, Proverbs 107, 20 through 21, it says he sent out his word and he healed them. And he's still healing in this very hour. He can heal those things that's giving you the duplicity to make you feel like you got to be a deceiver, a hater, and a faker because they're doing it to you. But he sent his word and he healed them. And he snatched them out of the fire of death and hell. Remember that. We need to remember the great love of God. He still loves us, and he wants to give you the opportunity to realize that you can have yourself in self-control if you choose to. Remember, there's no temptation has seized you except what is common to the man. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, he will also provide a way out so that you can stand up under it. I pray that you will talk to God about the duplicity that may be hiding within your heart, so that you won't have self-destruction. I pray that this has done something for you today, and that you will realize that God still is watching, and he's seeing the very thought and very intent of all of our hearts. Don't listen to the devil, and don't get tricked to believe that you got it all under control. Because right when you think that you got it under control, God's saying, now I'm going to have to go ahead and pull the cover off, so you can see that the dishonesty and the deceitfulness is going to bring self-destruction. I got to go. Hey there, Dr. Georgia. Glad you got a chance to get on. We'll talk to y'all later. God bless you. See you tomorrow.